Okay, great. I think we can start and then the others will join us later. So, good morning, everybody. This is the session called Meet Leaders, EU Code Awardees and Experts. Welcome. My name is Ayako, the Technical Manager and Trainer of MFR, which is an international rating agency that operates in the field of impact finance and sustainable finance. We're also an accredited certification body for many schemes, including the evaluation and the renewal process for this code. Obviously, here we're referring to the EU Code of Good Conduct for microcredit provision that the European Commission's AMP branch has spoken about in the keynote speech this morning. In fact, as Anne kindly mentioned earlier, I've also had the honor to see this code become an increasingly important tool across Europe and an excellent seal of recognition. And it really is helping many and vast different types of microcredit providers evaluate and strengthen their practices and standards. So, today with me are representatives of two Albanian microfinance institutions which obtained the Code Award. There is Alma Stafan, Head of Marketing Department of Fondibesa.
Hi, nice to be here, and it's an honor for me to represent our experience with other colleagues.
Perfect. And there's also Eranda Bayramay, Project Coordinator of Agro and Social Fund.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here and to share with you.
Great, Eranda. Thank you. And of course, they're joined by Silke Mufferman, Head of Financial Inclusion Competence Center and Senior Project Manager for the International Advisory Services at the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management. The Frankfurt School manages the technical assistance wing of the EZTA program, including the provision of technical assistance for institutions preparing to go through the code evaluation.
Hello, good morning. It's a pleasure for me to be here and share our views. Thank you.
Welcome.
Great. So let's kick off this rather informal conversation with Alma. Great. So Fondibesa first obtained its Code Award back in 2018 and has recently renewed the award with success this summer. So Alma, in Fondibesa, what would you say are the key components in the area of customer relations that you have developed or changed in the last 2 years?
Thank you, Ayako. As I said before, it's a pleasure and honor for me to share with you and with other members our experience. A few words for Fondibesa, so to understand better our institution. Fondibesa, as you said, operates in Albanian microfinance market for almost 27 years, because we started as small as a World Bank and Albanian government project, when the only bank providing loans was agriculture bank. During these 27 years, we have disbursed about 250,000 loans, around in the amount of 100 billion Albanian lek. During the process of evaluation of Code of Good Conduct, we perform a self-evaluation of our company, which helps us to understand better where we stand against with European standard in terms of management, governance, risk management, reporting, and also customer and investment relationship. We are proud that we were almost compliant with the requirement, but also have in every time have space to improve things. Experience during this year showed us that the most important assets for Fondibesa are clients, because this is the main reason why we have contributed not only in financing them, but also to make financial education for our customer, to help us to help our customer how to calculate the needs for loan, how to manage their small activity, or how to create a good loan history. So the code help us better understand how to make our clients to feel heard, because being collaborative and speaking openly with our customer help us to understand and to improve or change the way how to approach them, not only in marketing wise, but also offering the right product tailor made for each customer. The main changes that we have done after the evaluation of Code of Good Conduct was to better understand the needs of existing and the potential customer. We took recommendation in the consideration, and so we increased the periodicity of surveys related not only for customer satisfaction, but also for customer retention and credit impact. We try to use the customer feedback to create a better experience, because during these years we were randomly. Actually, we have planned to perform client satisfaction surveys every year, and to cover almost the all operation. Also, impacted by the code, we are actually for the first time preparing the questionnaire for measuring the social impact of Fondibesa, because we are focused in our social responsibility and perform several activities to fulfill our social mission, but till now we have lacked a formalized strategy in this respect. We are working also to formalize social objectives as part of our business plan that we are going to prepare in the months after.
Mm-hmm.
For better measuring and monitoring process for such objectives in social objectives.
Great.
Because in the whole activity we try to keep the right balance between the financial and social objectives, because we want not only to finance our customer, but also to help businesses and people to develop and improve their life standards.
Fantastic.
To have a better communication with our customer during 2021, we also introduced in our structure, in our organizational structure, a new unit that it is called center. This unit facilitates access to service through considering as an alternative distribution channel, such as telephone.
Mm-hmm.
It is a supporting instrument and like an expert to communicate at the moment when the clients have needs, to ask to ask for a loan, to ask information for more information for our product, to complaints, because it's normal during the process to have not only the good things, but have customers that maybe have something to complain in
Of
the
course.
right channel and in the right people.
Great. Alma,
Else, we improve also our. Sorry.
if I
We
may
improve also our.
interrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I understand that making the periodicity of the client satisfaction surveys and also setting up the call center are two important areas in customer relations that you have already put in place recently, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But also we make other changes.
Okay, because I think that these two components are something many institutions are working on in these days, and it would be really great to understand if you have already started seeing an impact of putting these changes in place, and if you faced any challenges in implementing them.
The impact, yet we faced this impact because with these surveys we took a lot of information. So we are designing new products for new segments. For example, we have a new product only for women to increase their participation in the market of businesses, not only for men, also other products, but not only in products, but we improve customer service standards, and it is seen also in increasement of customer retention that was increased during this time,
Great.
but not only in existing customer, but also with increase of new entry clients. Even during 2020, that was a very difficult year for the whole world, not only for the Fondi Besa. Still, we had increased new entry customer in our loan portfolio.
I see. Okay, fantastic. Any challenges you faced in setting up these new, departments and projects?
Challenges. To change our procedure was not a challenge, was a satisfaction for us. Because for the last 2 years, from the Besa and the Albanian companies mostly face two big extraordinary difficulties, because we faced with an earthquake in November 2019
Of
that
course.
have a lot of problems, loss of lives, consequences in businesses, and so on. And after this, the pandemic years that have their impacts on. So for us, the biggest challenge was to understand better our customer, their need, and to support them to overpass this difficult moment. But the other things was not a challenge for us to improve day by day. And what it is very good news for us, it is based on the code of conduct evaluation during this month. We have it a new request for new lenders that came to offer collaboration with us, because not only us, but internationally now know that Fondi Besa work with a better standard of European code of good conduct. So we have
Fantastic. Great. As evaluators, we are always happy to hear this. Great. Thank you, Alma.
welcome.
If
Thank you.
I'd like to, thank you, move on to Eranda of Agro and Social Fund. So, Eranda, Agro and Social Fund went through the first code evaluation earlier this year and achieved the code award back around March. I remember you took a very important role in the whole code evaluation process. What would you say were the main changes that Agro and Social Fund made in order to achieve the code award?
Well, the entire process of obtaining the code evaluation was
Miranda,
very
sorry,
helpful. Yes.
maybe we can't hear you too well. Maybe you have to speak closer to the microphone.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
The volume is a bit. See? Please try.
Is that better now? Can you hear me better now?
Uh, I guess if this is the best you can do, we can just raise the volume. Let's see.
I can try to raise my voice.
Yes, yes, good. Miranda, you're an energetic woman. So please tell us what were the main changes or main activities that your institution had to go through to achieve the award.
Okay. Well, the entire process of obtaining the code evaluation was very helpful for some of the departments of Other and Social Fund in improving the regulations and procedures in order to serve the of our clients. Uh, some departments may change, the credit department, the risk department, which at the time was a new department, the time that we applied for the code of conduct. The human resources department somewhat changed. For the credit department, for example, the credit department presented two new memos. The focus of the memo was to improve the communication between our staff and our clients. And second memo was to help our clients so they can avoid over indebtedness. The first memo presented by the credit department was to go further with the recommendations and the tips that we already had at the credit manual at the time, but with a new memo we could also explain in details at our staff how to have a more positive attitude toward the client, how to maintain the spirit of kindness through the relationship with them, and of course to respect always the regulations and the laws. While the other memo, one of, sorry, just one example because I remember that Kinga always suggested that please give examples.
Yes, concrete
Both,
examples. Thank you.
yes, one of the specification of the memo was that the loan officer should contact the client with only with phone numbers that they already knew. The clients had during when the client applies for a loan, of course, they have our contacts, our official contact, the loan officer's contact, and the branch director contact. So the client should be contacted only with this phone number, so it would not be the client would not feel bad while a new phone number or a phone number which he didn't know would call him. Uh, the second memo was about unacceptable collaterals, which mainly focus on avoiding over-indebtedness, as I said, and improving the client's analysis to avoid the bad credit. With this, I can give the example that we suggested that
Yes.
a collateral would be not, we suggested for our loans that they would not take a collateral which value it's much more than the value of the loan.
Sure.
It's, for example, 10 times more.
Mm.
Uh, because it will be more convenient for the client to have this property free to use it or to sell it when needed, and not set as a collateral for us. Um, for the risk department, as I said at the beginning, it was in the department at the time, was which for which the code was very helpful and serves as a guide to introduce and to implement new procedures of following and managing risk, like the risk metrics and the risk appetite framework. We today believe that we have a more detailed analysis related to credit risk mainly, but not only, and the possibility of more important forecasts related to the environment, competition, market dynamics, or microfinance sector in general.
Okay.
Um, the human resources department also made changes. They were mainly focused on how to better receive impact and information from all groups of clients and from the staff. We had already settled a regulation on how to receive impact from the clients and which were the persons which was the phone number, contact, the email address, etc. But we formalized it and we made an entire regulation on how to, after receive information from these complaints or how to understand better these complaints at the end of the year or at the end of some period.
Great.
Um,
Good. I mean, those are very important changes that you made uh, during the time that you went through the code evaluation. Of course, we appreciate that the Agora Social Fund was already well structured with a great set of policies and procedures in place. So, how do you think around the code evaluation helped you in any ways to make these improvements? Was there anything about the process or the way the tool is written that kind of gave you a good momentum or a good, set of tools with which to make these changes?
uh, the process, the entire process, also the expert which was suggested to us for the technical assist from the technical assistant that we received was indeed very helpful in understanding better the code, but in understanding also how we approach to each of the points, how we as admin social point, and which point we should work to go better or to be compliant with these points. Of course, the point that we wanted to apply for and to comply for.
Great. No, that is excellent to know that the technical assistance that was provided to your organization before the code evaluation helped. In fact, we'll hear more from Silke just in a bit. Did you feel that the code evaluation process, once you were with the evaluators, gave you enough time and guidance to understand what was needed to do to achieve the code?
Uh, just to go back at the first point, I would strongly recommend to each of the appliers of the code that to apply for the technical assistance because it is very, very helpful. When you first apply for the code, you think it is a big thing, you don't understand anything, and you think that it will be very difficult for the entire institution. But the experts provided by technical assistance help you to go easier and smoother with the entire process. The 18 months is, of course, a long period and enough period to apply each of them, or if you have to make changes, to apply each of the changes. But something that happened to us, it was that we took the recommendations, we did understand the call, but we went to do the changes at the last minute. I would suggest to each of those who apply for the code that to do the changes step by step. So also the staff will have it easier to accept the changes and to better understand what is going and what is the change and how to perceive it and how to and after to communicate it to the clients with the
Yes.
clients. Uh, I think that they give enough time. 18 months is enough time.
Okay. Great, Aranda. No, I think it's a very good point that we can spread to the institutions that are planning to go for the code award. The importance of making change, giving enough time to make changes, implement them, and inform the relevant staff, and of course the client if it is related to the clients. Thank you, Aranda, for sharing your experience. So I think with her great feedback on the technical assistance, this is an excellent moment to move on to our last but not least speaker, Silke from Frankfurt School. So, Silke, you have been involved in providing technical assistance in many areas, but of course also under the EasyTA program for some time now. And it would be great if you could share some of your insights. So for example, based on your experience, what advice would you give to the institutions which are preparing for the code evaluation for the first time?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure for us to be here. Maybe also mentioning, and we have seen that today in the opening panel, about all the logos of the code awardees and having also two institutions in this session. There is a big variety of institutions. It comes from greenfield, NGOs to institutions, mature microfinance institutions, cooperatives, financial cooperatives, regulated microfinance institutions, and fintechs. And we have provided now in the last 6 years, almost 100 technical assistance assignment. These are not long technical assistance, So currently we are working remotely. It's 3 expert days. It's nothing, you will think, but this is also important that we have somebody, a counterpart like we have here on the panel at the institution, which works with the expert diving through the different clauses of the code and the documentation. This is like a vision. So who needs to be involved? So there are I would say two options. So assign one person, the MFI should assign one person that is involved from the start to collect data, to collect documents, information, and also supporting the management to coordinate internally and externally, liaise with experts and evaluators. So this turned out to be quite efficient. Of course, if they are very small institutions, it may be right away somebody from management. But if we have larger institutions, and maybe this is also a little bit the experience, at least from the Bessa, I can imagine, that it can be also a learning process, that you have then a team involved in the institution, depending on the different topics of the code. We have 5 chapters: customer investors relations, governance, risk management, reporting standards, and MIS. And of course, then to have also the specialist staff in the code implementation. So this can be also a very good effect where the institution can be learning about the code and also implementing. Now, how to plan it time-wise? As we have already heard, 18 months is for normal microfinance institutions which are not greenfield. Greenfield institutions, when they sign up to the code, greenfield means up to 3 years of business operations. They have 36 months, acknowledging that there's not so much there, that there's a importance, like upfront. How to plan it time-wise? I would say as soon as possible, if the institution will become an easy beneficiary or a client for the easy financial instruments. That means easy guarantee, easy funding instruments, capacity building instruments, which is currently implemented by EIF. This is part of their contractual obligations for their clients, that the institution have to comply with the code, European Code of Good Conduct, to access EU funds and also to be certified. And this process can take half a year, even if our technical assistance is 3 days. Like 18 months we give normally the institution, the code gives the institution. So this is one, as soon as possible. If you are not depending on this condition, then better to plan when there is time. It may take a while. And I would not recommend, if you have a big change process or some challenges for the MFI. For example, for some MFIs, the COVID-19 crisis hit them hard. And we had that also in the code TA, where they said, we are so busy we cannot now implement or something, please approach us a little bit later, etc. No? Or if you are becoming regulated, in some countries there's also regulation in microfinance, for microfinance, or changing your big IT system. Yeah, so these are processes which may absorb a lot of attention, and institution is not ready to absorb the code. And what resources are needed? Time, staff, and expertise. Code TA, it turned out to be useful, even if it's very specific, but we have experienced expert in different languages, skills, etc. And then also it depends a little bit how much information inside or outside resources for setting up some documentation, no? Because the code is also, it's a self-regulation. So there needs to be also documented. For example, we have the newest clause is anti-money laundering. Yeah, not to say, oh, we have this, but the evaluator will also ask, and where's the document? Where's the implementation process of anti-money laundering?
Indeed. Yeah, exactly. No, great. And it's great, Silke, that you also mentioned the 5 areas, the 5 thematic areas that any institution going through the code evaluation has to are scrutinized over these areas, let's say. From the experience of your network of consultants providing TA for the code, which are the most important areas that you've observed need to be strengthened amongst the microcredit providers in Europe right now?
I think for mature MFIs, and what have said also the speakers from the Albanian MFIs, which have maybe processes in place, the code provides really a good learning and very important for the improving customer experience. Yeah, so this is really something which is practical, which is, yeah, which has, what I think also, what we have seen, like I said at the beginning, we have different type of institutions, different situations, etc. What I have seen, it's very important that sound governance, to have the right check and balances in place, yeah, including the independence of the board, internal auditor, implementation of a sound business planning. We have seen these are areas which are very important for microfinance institutions. They are in the code. They are also we haven't talked about that. Maybe here are all experts listening or code beneficiaries, but for the new institutions, we have priority clauses. These needs to be complied with. Yeah, you can have a score of 80%, but the priority clauses, we have 100%. You have to comply with. So that we have seen. And the other area is risk management. Ensure that there's a tiered risk management in place, a responsible manager or staff if possible. There we have seen also, and this is important, and this is also put in priority clauses, and this prevents also many things which happens in microfinance institution to have this in place.
No, I agree. And so for these areas that often need to be strengthened amongst our fellow micro credit providers, what could you provide any practical examples you've seen in the field of some solutions that institutions found?
Yeah, I was thinking about, because we got beforehand the question, but I will plan it a little bit differently. Yeah,
sure,
so I think we have to answer this question from an institutional perspective. Like I said before, we have small greenfield MFIs, we have larger MFIs and fintechs. Yeah, and this is coming more and more. What I see for smaller and greenfield MFIs, they usually do not have many documentation and formalization yet. It's normal, yeah, different across different areas, across the board, no? Across the institution, and it's very work intensive to comply with. Yeah. Yes. However, this challenge can be also an opportunity, because to organize and structure the institution according to good practices, yeah, this is an opportunity as well. So it's more, for smaller, it's more work intensive.
Yes.
If you're talking about larger MFIs, the Albanian ones, if a MFI is regulated, the case of Romania, or it's not regulated, but with manifold funders, no, we have the case of credits, yeah, one of the largest MFIs in Europe, which is not regulated, but they have all kinds of funders, etc., and investors, or others with investors. I do not see many challenges except for the ones which have been mentioned by the speakers of Albania, this customer experience. Yeah, so to put that in practice, no, there's always this two goals. Yeah, for
Yes.
unregulated larger MFIs, I have seen that governance is based on a long track record. Sometimes these are mature and some customs, which is not easy to be changed. Yeah, but sometimes it's difficult, as well as strengthening risk management. Yeah, customers means, for example, that we have executive board members. This is not allowed by the code. The board has to be independent. Yeah, but to change this practice is very difficult, and it's a clause which can kill the compliance.
Sure.
And for fintechs, that's my last, fintechs are not classical financial intermediaries. They are strong in IT, commercial marketing activities. They are issuing loans based on an algorithm, etc. And also quite efficient in fundraising. What we have seen that they have challenges for organizing internally, setting up procedures, the right governance. So I have seen, for example, the fusion of a risk, audit and finance ALM committee in one committee. Yeah, it's completely against good governance and risk management. No, but they are open to make changes. They are learning. Yeah, so
Yes.
that is maybe my message here.
Great, thank you, Silke. Just like you say, especially in the European context, I think that what was once called a microfinance sector is very hybrid and very heterogeneous. So I really appreciate that you touched upon the different types of financial service providers we work with. Great. So with this said, I'd like to thank the speakers today and the audience, and last but not least to MFC for dedicating a session just on the code, which has really become a seal of excellence that is recognized by the main key players and investors in our field. For any information related to the technical assistance that is provided before going for the code evaluation, I very much welcome you to contact Silke and her colleagues. For instead any other details regarding strictly the code evaluation or the code renewal process, which is quickly a process that one organization has to go through after 4 years of receiving the award. If you would like to keep the award status, please get in touch with my colleague Adele of MFR, who is present in the conference today. So with no further ado, thank you again, and let's enjoy the rest of the second day of the conference. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you also for everybody. Thank you.